Danny, what a game that was last night. It was absolutely terrific, wasn't it? Until the second goal went in, it was very even as well. But Manchester City was sensational.
The level of football, the level of play, defensively, creatively, technically. I mean, you're watching some of the best players on the planet last night. Two brilliant teams. City were absolutely relentless. Second half, they just got stronger. They looked fit. They looked hungry. I mean, the back four as well, the little tweak he made, I was thinking, why is he tweaking it again? But it worked. Kanji was outstanding. And Stones is playing the best football of his career, arguably. You know,
it's amazing, isn't it?
It's just phenomenal.
I think we all sort of sat there and thought to ourselves, is he really making another tactical tweak going into the Champions League game? Is this the wisest thing to do? But that idea of Stones sort of playing half in midfield, half in the back four was absolutely terrific to watch, wasn't it? I mean, you have to concede, don't you, that this is probably one of the best Manchester City sides that Pep Guardiola has been able to field. Do you think he's helped by the fact that there's not that many other ways he could tinker with the team because of the lack of depth in the squad now?
Yeah, we spoke about this yesterday, didn't we? The fact that Foden's unavailable, the fact maybe because of the departures in the summer and letting Cancelo go, the Manchester City squad maybe isn't as deep as it has been previously, but that makes it easy because it means he knows week in, week out what his best 11 is. I was impressed with Jack Grealish again as well. Obviously got a lot of stick last season. Was he a £100 million player? Was he living up to the price tag? I think he's looking at a £100 million player now if such a thing exists. And you have to say that was one of the best performances the Champions League has ever seen, you know, because Bayern Munich are no mugs. It's not a vintage Bayern Munich side, but they went there and they competed and they just couldn't handle the juggernaut that is Manchester City. I said it yesterday, watching last night, only underlines that opinion. If City don't win the Champions League this season, they might never win it because they are just a fantastic, awesome side.
It's one of those performances that takes your breath away, and it actually was quite, intense inside the stadium. So much so that the manager Pep Guardiola said afterwards he was emotionally drained, and he didn't know how he was going to recover from it because it just took so much out of him. Let's hear from him. This is what he said after a performance which was really a privilege to bear witness to.
So if we don't do our game, everything can happen. Another game, I would tell you, I don't know, but then. The most important thing, the players who was on the pitch and I think off the pitch in the bench and see the performance of Bayern Munich. It's not necessary to tell them all the warnings because I know it's going to happen. Of course, it's a good result, really, really good. The group stage and all games he played Bayern Munich so far have been outstanding. But to have 95 minutes, I've been there many, many times, 3 years there, and I know in Europe this team is special. And you have to be a good performance to knock out this type of teams. You have to make 2 good games, not just one.
It was fascinating to listen to him afterwards. He knows that there's still work to do when they go to the Allianz Arena in a week's time. There's no way of a comeback, is there, Danny?
No. I think they'll have a good go at it, and even if they got the first goal, but they're going to have to go so gung-ho that City will open them up. Trying to score 3 against City is hard enough, never mind trying to keep the back door closed. And we saw last night, you know, at times it was end-to-end. They both create chances because they've got such wonderful players. Absolutely no chance of a comeback.
Danny, it was interesting tactically to watch how Pep Guardiola managed to get the better of Thomas Tuchel. Just explain to those who didn't see the game or didn't notice the nuances exactly what he did, which changed it up.
Well, he played John Stones in the middle of a back four, but allowed him the freedom to go into midfield when he wanted, which then allows one of the central midfield players, usually Gundogan, to push further up. You've already got De Bruyne higher up supporting Haaland, and then you've got the width of Grealish and Bernardo Silva, which I thought Bernardo Silva kept his width tremendously well, considering he's so used to playing more centrally. Thought he played. That was another good decision by Pep. So then what you're relying on is the technical ability of your players to keep the ball under high press, because both teams at times tried to press the ball, as you would. So City dealt with it better. And I think one of the main differences in the game, it wasn't so much an overload as some brilliant tactical plan. It was that City's creative players were better than Munich's in the final third, because they had a couple of half chances, Munich, and they got in some good positions, but the final pass or the final shot, whereas City, I mean, if you look at, for example, a great example would be Bernardo Silva's goal, Haaland's pass. He's not snatching at that shot from an angle where you think she should be breaking the net. He's already seen Bernardo Silva coming on the back. It was an amazing pass, by the way. I didn't know he had it in him.
Oh, I'm so pleased that you brought that up because my esteemed colleague sitting not too far away from you said on the Game Day podcast the other week that apart from goal scoring, he does nothing else. And basically, if he didn't put the ball in the net with the regularity that he did, he would be a donkey. But to see that pass and have the technical ability to complete it was particularly impressive.
But I think, Sam, just quickly on the other thing, I think one of the other things which was a great example is, when you have individual battles in any football match at any level, when you look at people like, Akanji against Sane, physically really got after him, whereas you look at maybe Grealish wasn't bullied by Pavard.
No.
He couldn't, he's too strong for him. Musiala, who's an amazing talent, physically got manhandled a little bit by Rodri.
Well, that's another big sort of advance for Pep Guardiola, isn't it? It's not just about those slight little players anymore. He's added physicality to his group, and as a result of that, they looked stronger. They looked as if they could handle themselves in that game last night, and they didn't look bullied by Bayern Munich. Crook, can they win the treble?
I think they might. I'm glad we skirted over your Haaland comment, by the way. Well done, Danny. I owe you a beer for that. I think they can.
Your Haaland comment, not anybody else's.
I think they can. We were looking at their run-in before we came on air. Apart from Arsenal, and you would expect them to beat Arsenal at home because they're so imperious at their own ground, their running in the Premier League is favourable. I think they could easily win every game in that competition between now and the end of the season. They will beat Sheffield United.
Brighton away is a tough one.
In the FA Cup semi-final. Brighton away could be a tough one.
It could be.
But it depends when it falls because it's still to be rescheduled. If Brighton have got an FA Cup final to look forward to themselves, that could come into play. But I take what you're saying there. They'll beat Sheffield United in the FA Cup, so they're going to be in the FA Cup final. It could be an all-Manchester affair, although I definitely wouldn't write Brighton off, but you make Man City favourites whoever they face. And I think they have to be the favourites for the Champions League. We're going to talk about Real Madrid-Chelsea later. I expect Real Madrid to beat Chelsea, but I don't think they're a side that will hold any fear for Manchester City. You've got Napoli maybe who are going to come through on the other half of the draw, but again, I would expect City to have too much for them. So they could win the treble. Every chance.
Danny, you know what it's like to win 3 trophies in one season. It wasn't this treble.
It wasn't a proper treble, was it?
It was a treble, and there's no disgrace in that.
No.
Just tell us about the mentality that's required to get over the line in 3 competitions.
Well, you have to be unselfish with your mindset. What I mean by that is you have to realise that it's not all about you. So you can't play every minute of every game. That was one thing that put us in good stead, is that Houllier created a really good group mentality and was very good at managing players who did want to play every week but couldn't because of the amount of games and the importance of substitutes, things like that. So, De Bruyne coming off last night, for example.
Yeah, flicking his arm up, saying,
he was fuming.
I don't want to talk about it.
He was fuming. And hopefully this morning he thinks, you know what, and him and Pep, I'm sure they'll have a chat and they'll get on with it. But you don't need that. You want everyone together, everyone on the same page, because you can't play every minute of every game. So that's one of the things. And also the old adage of one game at a time. That's all you, because if you start looking too far ahead, which can happen, there are conversations, of course. You'd be naive to think that some Man City players aren't going, you know what, we could win the lot here. You do have those conversations. We did, but we had to pull ourselves back quickly. But I think ultimately it's about having the bravery to keep playing the stuff. I don't see the City players playing any differently, whether there's 3 games to go, 2 games to go, and the points are level and the goals are level, and they just play the same. And
they looked so fresh as well last night, didn't they?
But they've been there and done it, Sam, haven't they?
Yeah, they absolutely have, and they look like they can do it again. Did that performance last night make you think that Manchester City could win the treble? 03717 2233 44. You can text us 81089. We'd love to hear from you.